You are listening to the Doc Malik podcast. This show is 100% independent and fully funded by listeners like yourself. So, if you wish to support Ahmed in all that he is doing, then please subscribe to his channel on Spotify or his Substack. Or simply buy him a coffee with a one-off donation, links to which can be found at docmalik.com. Now, let's get on with the show.
Extra. We're down paramedics. We don't have enough paramedics, so I'm having to work. Used to, we were only allowed to work 48 total, like a week, like because we work overnight, so we do 24-hour shifts. 48 was our max. Used to be by law. Now I think it's still the law, but we don't have enough paramedics, so they use us for 72 hours, 96 hours. We've been working, yeah, a lot.
That's too much.
Yeah. I mean, it's either that or not. We don't have a paramedic working a shift.
Oh man, okay. Well, I mean, I don't know what it's like over there, but I've spoken to some paramedics here. And it's difficult, it's tough, and they don't get much support. There's a lot of burnout. They see a lot of horrible stuff on the side of the road. It's very different from being in a hospital where everything's sanitized, especially in a theater where there's blood, but it's all controlled. There's sterile, surroundings and garments and drapes. But you must see some horrific stuff: road traffic accidents, kids, adults. It's hard work being a paramedic, isn't it?
It is. I mean, yeah, it's good work. It's honest work. It is definitely difficult. There is a lot of burnout. I've lost I've lost zero. Here you go. I mean, I've lost zero friends to COVID. Most of my friends are frontline workers, paramedics, nurses, doctors, PAs. I've lost zero to COVID, and I've lost two handfuls to suicide since COVID started.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
It's terrible, but I'm just giving you a rundown of it. Is hard work, but it's also just the burnout's real, the ghosts are real.
And Harry, look, you're quite vocal on X. You've written a book. You go, and speak about stuff about COVID. What is it that you're passionate about?
My kids. I'm passionate about my kids. I keep going for my kids. God. I'm passionate about my faith. And I really want to help. I do get there are moments, especially since all this stuff that's gone on the last few years. I mean, that I lose hope. But my children and thinking about their future, I guess, keeps me going.
So tell me in the audience, Harry. I mean, we've had a couple of chats in the past, but it's been a while. I'm sorry, I've just been so busy. But what is it that you saw and are seeing that upsets you?
Well, I mean, to start off with, initially, I saw immediate death from the COVID shots. But even before the shots came out, I was seeing lockdowns. I was seeing American rights, our freedoms being removed systematically. I was seeing them try to tell people they weren't essential. And that alone didn't make sense to me, telling a population that they're not essential, taking away their ability to work. I mean, telling them, hey, I'll pay you a little bit of money to stay home. You're not essential. That in itself was just completely wrong, unethical. And then watching just a society comply with tyranny was hard. And I was also seeing protocols in the hospitals that were killing people. I was trying to coach my patients because I was working in the ICU. I was working in the ICU in New York City during COVID. And I had noticed that every patient we were intubating, they would just die within a day, 2 days. I mean, if they were really strong, not saying, just strong mind or whatever, because they're out. But I mean, if their body could handle it, they would last a week maybe, but they would all succumb to the intubation and ended up dying, and they blamed it all on COVID. No one really stopped to think could it be our protocols that are wrong? They just kept going with the same thing, expecting different results, and the results ended the same, us putting them in body bags. So I try to coach my patients to stay off of the tube, to calm down, try to relax. Because we were seeing this thing called happy hypoxia. which is wild to me that hardly anyone, actually, I don't know anybody other than myself that still talks about it. Happy hypoxia, if anyone out there looks up the mystery of happy hypoxia during COVID-19, we were seeing patients that had oxygen saturations, I mean, high 40s, low 60s, like low saturations. A normal human, like me and Doc right now talking, we're probably setting 95 to 100%. There's no word dyspnea. We're not having difficulty speaking. That's what, not having to breathe through our breaths. Someone who's in the 80s, they look sick typically, unless they live at the high 80s because they're COPDers or something like that. If you're a normal, just healthy young person and you're in the 80s, you typically look sick. You look like you have that pneumonia or whatever's going on. If you're in the 70s, you're about to be intubated because if I walk in and someone healthy is suddenly setting 70s, they're typically diaphoretic, they're sweating, they're tripoding, they're breathing hard. They look like they're about to crump. They look like they're about to die. So a lot of times when you start getting into the 70s, I'm going to have no choice but to go ahead and take over your airway and try to breathe for you because you're going to probably die here pretty soon anyway. So I want to actually try to help you. And
Mm.
that's what we were doing with these COVID patients. But the COVID patients, they didn't look that way. They were sitting lower than we've ever seen before in my entire existence in EMS or on this earth. I've never seen someone sat high 40s, low 60s and still talk to you. That's why they were calling it happy hypoxia because the patients just seemed happy. They seemed fine. They would call 911 for anxiety typically. They would be like, something just doesn't feel right. But they looked fine. They weren't turning blue. They weren't breathing bad. Their lungs didn't sound terrible. And they were sitting, let's say 50% even, because I've seen that 50%. We thought our monitors were broken at first because the patients didn't look like they were sick. And then when we got them to the hospital, they would do blood gases and everything, and they were sitting 50%. They were sitting really low, but they were compensating so well. And that came with COVID. So some that whatever that was came with COVID. Because I even asked doctors, I was like, what's going on here? And the doctors were like, I don't know. Something COVID brought. If anyone tells you they know what this is, they're lying to you, Harry. It was very strange. And we were seeing that quite a bit during COVID and even into the COVID shots. But most of those patients that were experiencing that, if they went to the hospital, sadly, they were inevitably put in the ICU. Their anxiety would get bad. They would get anxiety medications, and then they would end up getting intubated. It was
How did
just
you?
one after another.
That's
Go ahead.
fascinating. That is fascinating. But can I ask you something? As a paramedic, how did you actually know what was going on inside the hospital? Because a lot of the paramedics, they scoop people off the road. They bring people in from their homes, bring them to the ER, dump them, and go back out on the next call. How did you know these people were being intubated and they're dying and things were going wrong inside the hospital?
First, I knew because whenever I was working in OKC, big city, I would know because I knew people working in because I mean EMS is a very medicine is a very tight knit community. Like it's a big community, but it's wild how we tend to just know each other all over the place because it's a pretty tight knit community. We also had Facebook pages at the time where I could talk to all the doctors, nurses, and we could talk. But I also worked in the ERs. Like I worked on the ambulance at the start of COVID. I still knew people that were, like I had ran someone that I knew, family member, and they were happy hypoxic, and then I found out a couple days later from the family member that they were intubated and died. So that through the grapevine thing, and then I ended up working in the hospitals. Like I went from one contract working on the ambulance to a contract where I was working ER to a contract where I was working in the ICU. And then I went to a contract where I was ambulance, but also ER based. So it was one of the few that are still left that is the hospital runs the ambulance. So I would go pick up the patients, bring them back to the hospital, and go to work in the ER. So I didn't just leave my patient. I would go pick up the patient, initiate care, come back, bring them to the doc and the nurses, and then I would keep working. And so that's how. I mean, I work in hospitals and on ambulance.
Okay, can I ask you something? How old are you?
40, about to be 45.
And when did you actually start work as emergency?
And
Are you
19.
are you an EMT, emergency medicine technician, or
I'm a paramedic.
right paramedic? When did you start working as a paramedic?
2012 is when I got my paramedic license. 2012 was when I got my paramedic license. I got my EMT in 1997. So I started working as an EMT in 1997,
Okay,
and
but
then I
you've got
became an.
you got a decent amount of experience. I mean, like you're not some rookie, person who's
Oh,
just
oh
coming.
yeah, no, this is what I've been doing for. I've done this, and then I was a medic in the Army, and I was a medic in the Air Force.
Okay,
I've been doing this. What is that? 27 years. I mean, I've been doing this for a long time.
and you're in New York City.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so
Lower Manhattan.
a lot of people say there was nothing. There was no such thing as COVID. There was no virus. There was nothing. It was just the flu rebranded. Now listen, you're in one of the hot zones in the world at the time. Did you see anything different? Was it just the flu rebranded and the protocols alone just killed everybody? Or was there something different in the air?
There was something different in the air, and that was that happy hypoxia that I'm talking about. Whatever that was the weirdest thing. I can't stress enough how strange it was. Like all our biology books, all everything that we've ever seen before, what we were experiencing was stranger than any of it. Like I mean, not just me, but we were calling them zombie patients because if someone's walking around with 50% SATs, you should be dead. Like I can do CPR on you, good CPR, and get you into the 90s. I mean, I can, these people were walking around half of what they should be and not looking any different. They weren't looking strange. They weren't looking blue. The problem is trying to explain this to non-medical people is very difficult because anyone medical out there, if I say, hey, this patient's setting 50%, and the patient's sitting there talking to me and saying, hey, my dogs are awesome, da 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 da, us medical folk, we're like, no, your monitor's broken, something's wrong.
Exactly.
But our waveforms were perfect. The blood gases were coming back the same. These people were experiencing something we've never experienced before that I know of in humanity. Like it's that kind of wild story that should have been front page news. And no matter how much I would scream about it or try to post about it, I'd either get deleted on TikTok for trying to talk about it, or which I got deleted on TikTok a lot. But I couldn't get the word out about this happy hypoxia, even though a lot of us, actually most of us, were witnessing it. So yes, to answer your question, there was definitely something different in the air. Now, that's something, based on what I was seeing, wasn't killing people. It was making them compensate while they were really low, because our body has the ability to compensate quite well. And when it's finally done, it's done. But they were compensating. Something was keeping them compensating great. And then our protocols would throw oxygen at them. Well, if something is helping a person compensate so well at 50%, and we throw oxygen at them, my personal thought on this, and it's just my thoughts, I'm not saying this is what it is, I'm saying this is my thoughts based on what I've seen. They didn't need that much oxygen. So the remdesivir was bad, a bunch of things were bad. I have a lot of doctor friends and people that are just been looking at this under scope. There's quite a few things in our protocols that were bad, but the simplest answer is if something inside this human body is keeping them looking just fine at 50%, and we throw a whole lot of oxygen at them, we start poisoning them with oxygen. If you look up oxygen poisoning or poisoning, over oxygenation, we can start shutting down organs just with oxygen if we give you too much.
Yeah.
So that's my thoughts on that. I think we started doing things we thought was appropriate to something we had no clue what was going on. And the big smoking gun for me is the fact that mainstream news doesn't talk about it. I've learned that if mainstream news doesn't talk about it, then there's something there.
Yeah, I agree. Well, look, your description confirms my personal lived experience. I had COVID and it was like nothing I've ever had before. And people say, "Oh no, it was just the flu or whatever." And there's a lot of really big people who argue that there was nothing, and I just don't buy into that. I think I'm willing to say I don't know what it was. I don't know whether it was a bioweapon, an artificial virus, whether it was radiation poisoning or whatever, or a chemical
Uh,
toxin, a poison in the air. I don't know. But there seems to have been something.
I don't know what it is either. I know it was weird whenever I know it was strange when they started pushing an anti-parasitic drug, and I started looking into certain parasites, and the only thing I could come up with is certain parasites allow certain birds to fly higher with lower oxygenation levels. And I thought it was strange that a parasite drug came out of nowhere. You know what I mean? And during all of this, they started, so you started hearing, oh, there's a conspiracy about horse paste and da 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 da. Well, anytime I hear the mainstream news call something a conspiracy theory, I really start thinking, okay, that's probably the truth. Like, you know what I mean? It's like it's a conspiracy that the CIA did anything with JFK. Okay, well, probably the CIA had something to do with JFK. Like, it doesn't take a rocket scientist now to see that whenever the big people that are making all the money off of your death and dying are saying, "Don't look here," or something's not right about that, it's probably the opposite. They're probably lying to you. So, but the only thing I've come up with is maybe there was some kind of parasite that was causing people to compensate really well, really well, and that's why people fared better on ivermectin than oxygen and remdesivir. And but that would be just a theory on my part. I'm not saying that's what it was.
Mm. And when you said you saw a lot of deaths after the COVID shots, what you're being called to people's homes, people have just died suddenly, like Matt Sco talks about in his documentary, died suddenly. Like, tell me about that. What were you seeing? Is this after the first wave? Is this after the initial rollout?
After the initial rollout, during the initial rollout, I was called to what I had called a Pfizer line because I didn't know what to call the makeshift lines where people were lining up like cattle to get this experimental drug. But they were just pushing it on, they were pushing the shot out, telling everybody it was safe. And I got a 911 call to the Pfizer line, is what I call it. And someone had just taken their shot, not an old person at all, just took their shot, went into a lethal arrhythmia. Because when I got there, whenever I arrived, the shot had been given, they were on the ground. Fire department's already doing CPR because fire department had got there. I took over the scene. Started working the patient, intubated, shocked multiple times because they were in VTAC, meaning they were in a heart rhythm. For anyone not listening who doesn't understand, they were in a lethal heart rhythm that I can actually shock. And shocked, went through all of my protocols, gave my epi, just went through everything I could. Uh, and they died. They inevitably, I couldn't get them back. So I start my big, the bells and whistles in my head were going off then, especially when the nurse came up while we were working this patient and said, "This is the second one in 2 weeks." So I know that two people died in that one vaccination clinic within 2 weeks. I don't know how many more died because the news didn't even pick up my story. Like, I tried to get a hold of news and say, "Hey, they're saying this is safe," but I know that two people have died after their shot in this one clinic. And I was just blown off, brushed off, and they wouldn't even call, some of them wouldn't even call me back, even though an active paramedic's trying to tell you, "Hey, I'm seeing something bad." So I saw that, um, and then yes, it was people dying like in their homes, and I started asking the question, did they take this shot? Because I thought, hey, they're pushing a new thing on the public that I've never seen, and they're doing it in a way that I've never seen. Maybe we should start asking questions about, have they taken this if I'm running to a 20-year-old that just had a sudden death in their home and there's no signs of foul play, there's no signs of any narcotics on the scene, no drugs or drinking on the scene, you know what I mean? No paraphernalia. So when I would run those weird calls like that, I would especially ask the question, did they take the COVID shot? And I still do. I'm one of the few out there that will ask, did they take the COVID shot? But I think more people are asking that now. But yeah, I was putting two and two together. Like, if I run a young person who just suddenly died, I'm going to ask, did they take the COVID shot? And typically the answer was yes. Like, actually, young people, it was predominantly yes all the time, unless I saw, a suicide note next to them or something like that. It was young heart attacks, young strokes,
And
all the
Harry,
way into older age groups.
I don't know any other paramedics like you in the States who are vocal. I mean, there must be tens of thousands of paramedics in the States. Like, what's the general consensus? Do you know a lot of people who agree with you? Are they just scared to speak out because of their jobs? Or do they actually think you're a quack?
Well, no, like, let's just take where I work now. We were in a huge meeting with all of our paramedics and EMTs the other day, and there wasn't one in there that disagreed with me. Nowadays, there wasn't even the boss who was in there doesn't disagree with me. They're all well aware of what's occurring. We had multiple conversations of what they've seen. But inevitably after that conversation, my upper echelons, like above my boss, like the ones who own the organization, sent a major email about Harry Fisher. And then they had to call me into the office and they went through my social media and asked me to delete multiple videos, told me like put me under scrutiny. They didn't fire me, but they let me know we're watching you. And I wouldn't delete. I told them, these videos were pre-working here. I'm not telling anybody where I work. Um, so yeah, people see that and they don't want to speak out. Like my life isn't easier for speaking out, and they know it, so they don't speak out.
So even now, the hospital management is calling you up and dragging you through like your social media and saying, "Look, don't post on this stuff." Even now in 2025.
Even now, like that was just weeks ago. Yes, I am under. They watch my social media more than my friends do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I had a similar problem. It was funny how fascinated they were from my social media. It's like, what
Mhm.
the hell? Have you got nothing better to do? Go do something else. Run the hospital properly.
It's sick that they're so bought into the safe and effective narrative, and they've also been implicated. Like all of our organizations have been implicated in this mess. They coerced, they pushed employees, and many of our employees, like where I'm at now, I've got multiple vaccine injured employees that some know they're vaccine injured, others like I know one person who's had 3 strokes before the age of 30 and still trying to, maybe it was the shot. No kidding, it was the shot. You were healthy, you took a shot that we know causes strokes, and you've had three and you're not even 30 yet, and you don't do anything else, you have no pre-existing conditions. Come on now. But the hospitals, the organizations, all of them know that they're implicated in harming their people. So it behooves them to maintain the narrative. And someone like me and you who rock that boat, we're liabilities.
We are liabilities. Yeah, and I can imagine then that same reason a lot of my colleagues don't speak up. Your colleagues don't want to speak up because they don't want to lose their job or their license.
Yeah, I
Do
mean,
you,
they
do you,
don't.
do you need a license to practice?
Yes, I need my paramedic license to practice. So and every time I re-up, because since I've started speaking out, I believe I've re-upped twice. Yeah, I've re-upped twice now since I've been speaking out, and this has all been going on. Every time I do, I have to send it to my national boards and my state, and I'm always wondering when they're going to say no, you can't have your license back or da 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 da. But
So why do you
thankfully, thus far, they
why
keep
do you
giving it
have
to me.
why do you have to give your license to the state or board every single time
I
you
have to,
start a
I
new
have to
job?
every 2 years I have to fill out forms and make sure my CEUs and everything's up to date. I have to do a certain amount of training over a couple of years, and I have to every 2 years we have to re-up our license.
Yeah, okay, same over here. In the UK, we have to do the medical license every year. It's called an appraisal. It's funny, I
Mm.
read something by Dr. Mike Eden recently, and it confirmed what I've always thought. I hadn't just written down about this, the fact that in the West, a significant form of control is this issue of a registration, a license. And it could be, it doesn't have to be medical, whether you're an attorney, you're a member of the bar, or you're a member of the Solicitors Association, or if you're an accountant, you're a member of the Accountancy Federation or Association, or whatever it is, Teachers Association, the Firefighters Association, and if you are vocal and you speak out against the mainstream narrative, the authorities, they will call you up and go, "Hey, you're bringing the
Mhm.
association into disrepute," and you're like, "But it's not my job. I'm nothing about my job. I'm just talking about stuff in my private life that I can see, and they're on my private social media that's not affiliated to my work or the association." But they're like, "Well, you're still bringing us into disrepute and that we're going to censor you or punish you or withhold your license. And it's a form of control. Because, you know, if you take that license away, you can't practice, you can't make a living. All that training you did was for nothing. So they've really captured this registration licensing business, and the fact that no matter what you do in the West, you kind of pretty much need to be a member of some organization now to practice. You need to be accredited. But it infringes into your personal life and your freedom of speech. You know what I mean?
It does. It does. But thankfully, I can say 100% that thankfully that our here in the United States, our National Registry for Paramedics, they I don't know if they've had me back per se, but they've been American enough to not remove my license for speaking out, and doctors, they were bombarded because I go by my real name. People, you can look me up on the registry, and they were bombarded with emails, phone calls to try to get rid of me. And one of the doctors even posted on X what the information that they got back from the National Registry, and I was thankful because the doctor was, well, we need Harry fired, but the National Registry told them that Harry has the ability of free speech. Like if you want to, you can get a hold of Harry's employer and they can, fire him if they don't want him talking. But he's got the right to say what he wants to say and leave us alone. So I was thankful. I'm thankful to them for honoring our American rights.
Yeah, God bless them. Oh, well, that's great. I'm glad to hear that, man. That's a little bit of good news.
Thank God for that.
And now, do you think, like, amongst your colleagues, do you think less people are going to be willing to take any more of these shots? Has there been a sea change? Like, did they all sign up and have the shots, or are they all now regretting it?
Most people that I talk to, they regret it. Like the ones that took it, they super regret it. They either have loved ones that are injured that they know that are injured, or they're injured themselves, or they're just their pride is injured that they bent the knee to tyranny. That one of the above, but I mean most are regretting it. They do not like the fact that they took those shots, and I don't know anyone that I work with that go in and get boosters. Like they all are not going to go get another shot. They don't want to, and also most aren't even taking. I would say, I say most, half aren't taking any vaccines ever again. Like half are like, no, I mean this one did me so dirty. I'm good. I don't even. And then a lot of us are even questioning, like, do we want to take the basic ones at all? Which I personally, I won't ever take another vaccine again in my life. I'm not going to. I think if you're going to lie to me about something, if you're going to lie to me something this big, the rest, you got to start looking for the lies that they've already done, because it's just me. If someone hits me in the eye and then tells me they're never going to hit me in the eye again, and it was unprovoked in the first place, I'm not going to trust that you're not going to hit me in the other eye. I'm just not going to trust you. I'm not the type that can be abused and let you just keep abusing me over and over again.
It's funny when you said you're never going to take a vaccine again. I take it you've had vaccines in the past.
Yeah, I was on board. I was bought into the vaccine train too, just like almost everyone in the medical field. I mean, we're indoctrinated heavily on vaccines are safe from the get-go. And most of us in America, I would say, especially in my generation, had multiple vaccines. Especially I was in the military. We had tons of vaccines in the military. But looking back on it, it's weird because I was a medic, so I can remember, lining them all up, giving them shots because there would be multiple medics, mats on the floor because people would pass out. Some people we would just blame it on, them being scared of needles or whatever, but they'd come through, we'd give them shots, and then within the next couple weeks after, we would be bombarded with patients that were sick. Like we would hit them with all these shots, and then our clinics would be just bombarded with sick people. So looking back, should have been obvious then, but I was young, dumb, and thought I was bulletproof. And that's how most people are, and especially in the military. The military doesn't want you when you're old. They want you when you're young so they can mold you into their indoctrinated state.
Hi, everybody. I'm just going to talk about my consultation service. Many of you already know about it, but just in case some of you don't, I'm offering these online. If you're not sure about what steps to take with your health, if you're facing surgery and you're confused about meds or struggling with a diagnosis, this is where I can help you. I offer consultations to educate and empower you, showing you how the system works from within and how to pick the right doctor, what questions to ask, and most importantly, how to get the best out of every medical encounter. Take Lucy, for example, who came to me for advice on a revision rhinoplasty. Dr. Malik was fantastic, prepared, transparent, and honest. He highlighted important risks and gave me valuable points to think about. A breath of fresh air. This is just one of many reviews, which you can see on my website. I've helped people with everything from joint replacements, autoimmune conditions, heart problems, weight loss, addiction treatment, and decisions about vaccines, just to name a few. With years of experience as a consultant surgeon in the NHS and the private sector, I know how the system works inside out. My role is simple: to be your advocate, guide, and ally in getting the best care possible. So folks, if this resonates with you, if you're feeling like you're in a dead end, don't know how to move forward, or suddenly got a medical issue that you just want help with, book a consultation today. www.docmalik.setmore.com. Just type in docmalik.setmore.com or visit my website docmalik.com and you'll find the consultation section, and then you can book from there. Folks, I hope I can help you. It's been an absolute joy being able to help patients again, and I'm really glad I've found this little niche area now where I can still use some of the wisdom and knowledge that I've accrued, not just through the years as a medical doctor, but even more recently through the hundreds of podcasts that I've recorded. Okay, folks, back to the podcast. Enjoy. 100%. You've confirmed my belief that most anti-vaxxers start off as pro-vaccine,
Yeah.
We weren't born this way, but now I'm loud and proud.
Yeah, it's wild how they use the term anti. You're correct. I mean, something jars us out of the indoctrination. Either either you get harmed yourself, or you see enough harm that it breaks
Yeah.
through the matrix of our mind, the that's been built around safe and effective, and then once you see it, you can't unsee it. I mean, once you see it, you can pretend. I know a lot of people still trying to pretend. I know a lot of people still trying to go about their day to day like they keep just daily waking up trying to take that blue pill per se, and trying to pretend like the world is all rainbows and awesomeness. But at the end of the day, they're just playing pretend, because they're like, you can see them being more depressed, more lonely, shunning their loved ones. The best thing you can do is just own it. Own the fact that there is evil that is ruling this world, and it doesn't have to be that big bad evil thing. If you're not a Christian or you're not into religion, it doesn't have to be something with the pitchfork. There's just evil people, bad people that do not mind destroying you for profit. And once you see that, you'll start seeing all the things that they're doing to your loved ones. And I say own that reality so we can change that reality.
Yeah, the thing is the belief system. You can't change belief with data and objective facts and truth. Embedded belief systems are much harder. Logic and reason don't dislodge belief. And that's why, this belief in the vaccines is almost akin to religion. Once you're religious on a certain thing, it's very difficult to argue with someone about points of faith, because they'll say it's faith, or it's my belief, it's whatever. It's not about logic or reason. So it's hard. It's very hard to reason with these people who now still want to take their 20th booster. I've given up on it. I'll be honest with you. I just don't waste my energy on that. It's not worth it. But listen, you wrote a book.
I don't either.
You wrote a book, entitled "A Paramedic Story Exposing American Genocide." It's a really powerful word, genocide. You think there's definitely a genocide going on?
Yes.
Why'd you say that?
100%. I mean, there's a multifaceted genocide occurring. But with there's just the shots that we've experienced. Yes, I would say it was at this point, I would say it was a weapon used to harm a certain amount of the population and control a certain amount of the population, and also see who they can't control and who they can't harm, so they can do it in another area.
Okay, so genocide, the definition is the intentional destruction of a national, ethnical, racial, or religious group in whole or in part. Do you think it's definitely a genocide?
Yes, I believe it's genocide. Nationally, we were targeted in, well, I would say as a world. So I would broaden genocide to be the world was targeted, and most of the people that I know that wouldn't take it, stood firm on not taking it, have some kind of religious thought process. Or, that's why they offered religious exemptions, because they knew that there was going to be a certain amount that were going to say, no, I'm religiously against this. But yeah, I think they were targeting the world. They wanted to put this inside the entire world, and they wanted to kill a certain amount of the population. And I wouldn't have said that years ago because I wanted to believe that it was just a accident and people were just too scared. But whenever the media still to this day covers it up, and those that control the media and then people in our government are still trying to cover it up, when active paramedics like me, active doctors, active nurses are screaming, hey, I'm seeing this much death, hey, please stop, please stop. When parents are out there going, you've already killed my kids, please, I need help, this, stop this, and they're still covering it up, that's intent. They're intentionally harming people and intentionally covering it up. So yes, I know there is a conspiracy to destroy a certain amount of the people and control all of the people. It's not a conspiracy theory. Conspiracy is a real thing. People conspire all the time. This was just a major conspiracy to actively and enslave our minds.
Yeah. Well, kind of agree with you. I mean, I'm not going to go into the semantics, but I think it was a democide. And what I mean by that is the murder of any person or people by a government, including acts of genocide, politicide, and mass murder. It's the fact that it's intentional killing or actions that cause death due to a government's reckless disregard for human life. I think,
We can go with that. We can go with that if you want. I mean, or we can just go with mass murder. It was. I mean, I'm laughing at the semantics of it, and not at the mass murder of it, but because I get semantics are, I get that a lot online. Like when I say mRNA needs to be stopped, I'll get people go, mRNA is inside your body all the time. It's just it's a constant circular argument, and it's easier to just go, hey, we're being murdered, and they're trying to cover it up. I mean, that would be the simplest. Would you agree?
100%, brother. Now, you went to see a senator recently. You actually think it makes a
Mhm.
difference? You think it makes a difference going to these representatives, these politicians, all these puppets, these little actors playing? Do you think?
I
Do
do.
you think it makes a
I
difference?
do. I do. I think it. I think it does. If I didn't think it made a difference, I wouldn't do it. I mean, it would be no point to waste my time. But I do believe it makes a difference because they know we're watching. They know we're willing to be active enough to go talk to them, and it gave me the opportunity to pray with, pray with him, to listen to what he has to say, to judge for myself on his belief system. And this senator in particular was saying exactly what I'm saying now. There's an evil portion of the world that's trying to kill a certain portion of the world, and they're doing it through pharmaceutical companies. They're doing it through your favorite government, your favorite politician. And so I get to hear it, I get to put it on camera, and I get to hold them accountable at a later date for whatever office they hold based on what they've seen. I'm I'm not in the camp of do nothing. I'm in the camp of do something. And right now I'm trying to peacefully do something so we don't ever get to the point where we have to do something that's not peaceful. Our history shows that good people will sit and wait until they can't sit any longer. And I do not want to see any of our populations get to that point because that's bloodshed. And I don't want to see that. I don't, recently someone went into the CDC and shot one of our cops. I don't condone that. I think it makes no difference whatsoever to the establishment. It only solidifies the establishment. when that happens. Yet I can empathize with the 30-year-old that was vaccine injured. So it wasn't an anti-vaxxer. It was someone who was a part of the safe and effective crowd that got injured themselves and went and tried to retaliate against the people he thought harmed him. I can empathize with that, but I don't condone it. That person, I would have loved to have been able to talk to that person and be like, I get your rage. I get how angry you are, but especially right now, put that anger and rage towards informing people of your vaccine injury, garner enough support so people and become either a person like me or talk to people like me that are going to our representatives so we can present you to our representatives, and then say however long down the road, when we get the numbers, of people, which I think we're headed that way, that can show, hey, we are angry and we're not going to stand for it anymore. Well,
Yeah.
at that point, our establishment has two choices: put their boot on our neck even further, or succumb to our demands.
Yeah.
Stop the shot, stop. They have two choices. Now, if this, by that time, when we have the numbers, when we are all together and we have enough injured and dead, if they put the boot on our neck, well, history is going to repeat itself. But at least we'll be organized. We'll be, because like we'll be capable of actually making a greater change with that kind of you know action. But I pray, my prayer is we don't ever get to that point, or if we do get to that point, our demands will be met and the people will win just based on our voice alone, because we're already enduring so much death. We're enduring it like we're enduring a nightmare, and we're doing it fairly gracefully. Whenever most of the population knows someone who's been killed or injured, and we're still not warring over it, I'm proud of that as an American and as a citizen of the world, because that means most people want to do the right thing. I just don't like that good people are being used by bad people.
Amen. Good people are doing a very good job of convincing. Sorry, bad people are doing a very good job of convincing good people that they're doing good when in fact they're doing great evil. That's the con. That's the devil's con.
Agreed.
So let's go back to this representative. Did they acknowledge and accept that the COVID shots, mRNA jabs, are causing harm?
Oh, they acknowledged, accepted. Yes, 100%. They
And
believe the COVID shots are killing people.
what are they doing about it? Is it House of Representative, Congressman? Is it Senator?
No, no. Yesterday I was at my state senator's house. I've known him for years now. He found me through TikTok whenever I was initially coming out on TikTok trying to tell people about what I was seeing. Strangely enough, he found me on there, and we started sharing information, and he was trying to get our state of Oklahoma on board with what's going on. And thankfully it's helped, because I've seen our state move from going along with mandates to not going along with mandates, and now our state is becoming more of a state that's leaning to God. Not anywhere I want to work in Oklahoma right now, they're not going to force me to take a shot. They might not even ask me to. So our state's gone the right direction. So I would say out there, start with your state representatives so you can change your state,
Yes.
because solidify your state, because the federal world, it's something that I personally can't fight by myself. Like, I can't, when I say fight, I can't go against that machine by myself. I need people like RFK, and then we need to back them on a federal level. And that's what I do as well. I try to go on his podcast, his show, his children's health defense shows. I try to talk there. But when it comes to active change, what I can do and know I can get done with help of others like me is change state by state. So that would be my why I do it and why I believe it can work. States will listen to their people, especially your representatives there, because they want to stay in office. And how also I know that this Shane Jett was his name, who I was at his house yesterday, Senator Shane Jett out of Oklahoma. He's only got 1 year left, and then his he's not allowed to be in the Senate anymore. And he's still actively speaking out, and he's been doing it for 5 years now. He's his same message. The shots are killing people. Harry, you're right. What you're seeing is actually occurring. We need to figure out a way to stop it. I hope he runs for a bigger office because I'll support him 100%.
Good for him. You're right. Here in the UK, I think there's a lot more power in enacting change through local councils. The counties, and then because Westminster, like DC, is just a cesspit, and it's the machinery, it's the blob, it's the deep state, it's the civil servants. Yeah, how can you tackle that? It's really hard. It's really hard as an individual. Now, listen, you said you were working with Bobby, and you go on his podcast. You think he's doing a good job?
I think he's doing the best job that he possibly can, and keeping his life. I believe that uh, I believe he's doing the best job he can. I would like him to do more. I'm vocal about it. You'll see me posting, about him to him, and so I definitely have my issues. That said, I try to empathize with everybody. He's surrounded by a cesspool of snakes. He's doing a lot. He's showing the public, hey, vaccines are bad, but he's still having to play the other side because every time he says one small thing about vaccines, the mainstream media and everyone that follows mainstream media just starts going crazy. They you can do something very small towards their belief system, which you said earlier, like it's a religion. Their vaccines are a religion now. Their follow their science is actually like follow their God. So whenever someone minor steps on that, they go nuts. So within the confines that he's playing in, I would say he's doing a pretty good job. Where I would change it if I was him, like if you put Harry in his position tomorrow, I would just step all over their religion. I would, but that would cause a war. Like I believe that because they're crazy. And then what sucks with their side has proven that they'll go inside schools and shoot up schools. They'll go inside places and because they're nuts. Like these people will just aim at soft targets, and they've proven that. I mean, the last few shootings have either been Democrats, some kind of hardcore liberal mindset, men can be women mindset, whatever you want to call that, crazy people, and they'll aim at soft targets. That's what they do. So when you're up against that kind of religious cult who are really dangerous, you do have to be careful or you'll cause conflict. But if you did put me in that position, I would go ahead and give a whole bunch of I would litmus test a whole bunch of veterans, put them outside of every single school, giving people jobs. I would hire a whole bunch of people with the federal dollars that we're paying for, and I would go ahead and trample all over their religion. I would go ahead and and then anybody who actually did try to actively harm our people, I would throw them in jail, throw them in insane asylums, and also offer capital punishment for those who deserve it.
Amen to all of that.
Just saying.
I'm with you. If I was Bobby, I'd be doing a lot more. And I know the risk would be to my life. Yeah, do you know what? It's fine. I would say I'd rather go out doing the right thing than just try and pamper to the evil. I don't think you can negotiate with the devil. I don't think he plays like that. I don't think you can appease the devil. I don't think you can negotiate with him and argue with him and convince him.
No, it's submission or nothing.
Yeah. And when I mean the devil, I don't mean people who just believe in vaccines. I mean the system, the evil system that we're dealing with. It's inherently evil. That's the only thing I've come to the conclusion. This is more than just money, control, something really deeply anti-human and evil about killing people and locking them down, but it's just a much bigger picture, along with it, the whole depopulation. I mean, I watched something about everything that's happening. It comes down to money and the economy. Basically, we are no longer useful commodities and assets. In the past, the more people you had, that was an asset to the country. You had more labor workforce, you had more taxpayers, you had more soldiers. But now with AI and automation, we're like dead weight. They don't need us as much anymore. So we are now no longer an asset, we're a liability on the balance sheet. What do you do with liability? What do you do with liabilities when you've got a liability on your balance sheet? You kind of dispose of it, get rid of it. And it's not.
You're right.
It's not some evil. Well, I mean, it is evil, but I'm saying it's not some kind of like, oh, we need to depopulate. It's just economics. They just don't need as many cattle as they did in the past.
I agree, and then that gives the people that do have the urge or that are of the mind to destroy and kill, that gives them the opportunity to do so. You have those two different mindsets. You have the mindset of, okay, there's a liability, let's remove the liability for business reasons or whatever, and then you have the ones that get off on removing the liability, because evil takes many faces, many forms. It's still evil. So, but I've ran the calls and seen people be brutal. They didn't have to be that brutal to kill their victim. They were that brutal because they wanted to be that brutal. That was like, there's that kind of evil, and that kind of evil isn't just in the shadows, in the small areas. Those people wear suits and ties, and you just they want to be a lot of them want to be in charge. I'd say most of them want to be in charge, but they've made their way to the top of our pyramid per se, and they brutalize everybody on the way down. They don't care what color, race, creed you are. They want complete control, and their God is the devil, in my opinion. That evil entity that wants to rule this world. That would be my faith. My faith says that I have a God that protects me. And then that God has an adversary, which is our adversary, and our adversary will use any sin that you harbor for his sake.
Yeah, I think some of the worst criminals are actually in suits, and what they're doing now, removing the liability on their balance sheet, it's so devious and cold-hearted. By making us sick, by using the medical system to poison us, make us sick, the food system, they're profiting as we die. They make money out of us on the way out as well.
I mean, it's easy. It's super easy to see. I mean, when we have first world nations that are killing babies in the womb for profit, everything else should be simple. Like, once you can wrap your head around the fact that, one, abortion is murder, you're murdering a life, you're murdering a baby, and you have a system that profits off of that. I mean, you walk into an abortion clinic and they say, okay, well, what's your blood, what's your blood type? Blood type is negative or, positive. Well, we're going to charge you $400 or whatever it is for your negative blood type, or $700 because you're positive. And then you go in and they murder a baby, and then everyone in there's either happy for you or just trying to be nice to you while you're murdering your baby. And we do that millions and millions. Like the senator told me yesterday, he said, out of all of our wars combined, it's a sliver, like it's a very small amount, like minute amount of deaths than what we've already done to our own children. That's our system. Simplify it. Our system murders babies for profit openly, and then tries to convince the public that it's just a simple choice. It's just a choice, and it's a right you should have as a woman to murder your baby. That is the right. That is your right. Everything else should be really obvious. I mean, they started with murdering babies, and now they're able to experiment on the world, out in the open, and just change definitions whenever they want to. Our system is that kind of evil. It couldn't be more blatantly obvious.
I wrote about just this, Harry. You're 100% right. On my Substack, I wrote about the mass murder of the unborn child. These are living beings, and yeah, I agree that your body, your choice, but it's not your body. You have a body within you, another body, and these are healthy children, lives. And here in the UK, in this summer, we've passed legislation which allows full-term healthy baby abortions.
That's
And
sick.
I think in the UK it's 250,000 child murders every year legalized, and in the States it's over 1 million. And we talk about in the past Babylonian and Hebrew and Mayan and Aztec, child sacrifice, all these countries and nations and Arabs and God knows, they all did something to that effect. Moloch, Baal, infanticide. I mean, even look at the Abrahamic religions. They wanted to sacrifice, was it Isaac? God said, sacrifice your son. I mean, this was all in their culture, but it was nothing in comparison to what we're doing now. It's industrialized mass murder, and it makes those other societies look like child's play. It's sick,
Yes.
and no one bats an eyelid. And if you call it out, you're a crazy, fanatical, religious lunatic. Funny thing is, Harry, I don't follow any religion. I just believe in God. So I don't know where I would fit into their, derogatory comments about me, because I'm not religious, but I don't agree with it. That's not to say that there might not be some reasons why a mother might need to do an abortion for her health if she's going to die, for example. I get that, but that's like a tiny, tiny percentage of the abortions that are carried out, and it's murder. And we've legalized it, normalized it, sanitized it in our modern society, our modern civilized society. We think it's perfectly fine to go in there and crush and mince and suck out the brains of a baby and kill them and snuff out that life, and it's fine. And you know what? It's a sign of our progress that we've normalized this. I mean, that's how sick and inverted this world has become. And
Yeah.
it's not a surprise then. And, we've also do other forms of mass sacrifice, human sacrifice. Wars where, a government convinces parents that it's the patriotic duty to send their children off to be murdered. Like, what? To fight people who are not our enemies and are not doing anything to us? And then we celebrate the fact that we send off our children to die in, lands of so far removed from us, with people who've got nothing to do with us, all in the name of, some patriotic duty. But you won't have people like Tony Blair or Keir Starmer or, Trump or anybody else or Biden sending their children to fight in these wars. No, but you and I have to send our kids to these wars. So this form of human sacrifice comes in many different shapes and forms. But the reality is, as a human species, we don't bat an eyelid. We accept all of these evil things. So if we're willing to kill millions of babies in the womb, we're willing to send off our children to die in the battlefield, is that any wonder that people were happy to roll up their sleeve and take a shot?
No wonder at all. It makes perfect sense, and that's going to get worse. This was just the tip. I mean, this is all just the tip of the iceberg with what you were talking about with AI and everything, which might be a conversation for a different time, but where we're headed is going to be a lot worse. And I can already tell most of the world will do the same thing. They won't even bat an eye to how bad it is, because by that time they'll be so convinced that they are right, that is the right thing to do. And those of us that can see, we're going to be seeing madness on a scale that is incomprehensible.
When you say it's going to get worse, what do you see?
I see. Well, here I'll just give an example. I was talking to a EMT the other day who was, driving me from a call. Like, we had just taken a patient to a hospital, and this young EMT is still in the military, still, he's still serving, in the reserves. And I asked him, we were talking about the shots, and the patient was someone who was injured, like a young person that had heart problems, and that patient actually knew that the shots caused the heart problems, and the EMT wanted to talk about it, and because that EMT had already taken the shots and everything, and no boosters, just the 2 shots. And we in the middle of the conversation, because he was like, I wish I wouldn't have, but but I wanted to go on I think he wanted to go on a cruise or something like that. And I said, so you took these shots that you knew were bad or that you thought weren't good? And he goes, yeah, I didn't think they were good, but I wanted to go on the cruise. And I said, okay, so you went ahead and took something that was possibly bad, or you knew experimental, to go on this cruise. And I ask you, say, 10 years from now, I said, do you know anything about AI? You know anything about transhumanism? And he was like, not really, maybe a little. I use AI for, certain things like ChatGPT and stuff. And I was like, okay. And I said, well, let's say Elon Musk creates something called neural lace, and a brain computer interface. And eventually, like the cell phone, like, because in order to do our job, we have to have cell phones, right? And it was like, yeah. I said, okay, so in order to do our job, we have to have some kind of iPad, some kind of cell phone. If we don't, we can't work here in our job, correct? Yeah, I mean, everything's digital. Okay, so let's say 10 years from now, in order to maintain being inside society, you have to be linked in through a brain computer interface. It's like a LASIK procedure right now. It's in and out. They don't even have to shave your head, and they can do a brain computer interface, and that's in the testing phases and already been approved by the FDA. And Elon's already doing that. Other people are as well. He's just the most obvious face of it. So let's say the country, our nation says you have to take this brain computer interface or else you can't work. Are you going to do it? And he thought about it for a second. He goes, yeah, probably. Well, that's that's not even all of what I'm thinking, but that should give people pause. That should make you go, wow. So with AI, with all of this technology, with them moving towards a very captured world, captured society, they're going to push for AI like it's going out of style, and they're going to inevitably go from wearables to internal.
Yeah. The problem is we all need to say no. If only we knew how much power we all had as individuals and as a group. Sadly, I think most people just don't. And that's a problem. Anyway, dude, enough of the problems. What's the solution? What do we all need to do? I know you're a God-fearing Christian man. That's great. I love all that. But I don't think it's enough to just say, oh, we need to just wait for Jesus Christ to come and save us. Like, what do we do to fix things?
If you're capable, run for office, run for your local office, get on the boards, capture your boards. That right now we have local and federal capture by corrupt individuals all over the place. Start running and taking their positions. If you are capable, do it. If you know someone's capable, support them, vet them, support them, capture all of those agencies. That's something we can do. Now, we have to get through a lot of corruption to do it. We have to realize that a lot of things are rigged, but we that would be moving forward, capturing, like, I'm kicking around running for sheriff and to taking, local sheriff's department. And that would be a capture of the sheriff's department for our mindset, for our liberties, for our rights. Because if you lived in my area, no one's going to come and just knock down your door because you made a post about the vaccines are bad. Like, if I was a sheriff, you're not allowed to do that. So if you could have good people capture those offices, then that would be something we can do. Get with like minds, start having discussions. I mean, for God, we have what we call small group. In my church, we do church where the pastor talks about a broad, you know, a wide range of things to tell everybody about, the Bible, about God. Then we have small group. There's multiple small groups where we all get together and we have Bible study. Same thing. You have a organization that gets together. You organize, you get together, you talk about everything that's going on, and then you have your small groups of people that discuss on what they can do and to help. This person's growing these crops, this person's doing this, this person's going and talking to senators. When I go talk to the senator, what do you think I should discuss with the senator? You form groups like that so you know who the like minds are, and so all that said, I guess organize. We organize. The enemy is well organized. We're dispersed in comparison. We need to come together and push for good to overcome evil in a big way. So how we do that? We start small, like we've been doing, and we get larger and larger and larger, and then we also prepare for what's to come. The enemy will try to infiltrate us, will try to disrupt us, will try to ban and censor us. All of the things are going to be hit at us, but if we, as long as we stand on truth, then the enemy can only do so much, because truth will always find a way to persevere.
Truth will always. All right, Harry. Final question of the day. You're on your deathbed. You're about to meet your maker. But before you do, you've got your loved ones all around you. What final words of wisdom would you share with them?
It's a hard one. If I'm capable of speech, I'll just tell them I love them. I love you. I would just say I love you, and I'm glad I had the opportunity to be in your life, and y'all were in my life, and try to treat everybody the way that you would be treated, and don't succumb to the evil of this world. And when you see evil, point it out. Try to help your brothers and sisters, and love above all. Love is the only thing that's kept me going this long. If I didn't love, I would be in so much trouble.
What do you love?
I love people. I don't like most people, but I love people. I don't like most people, but I love them. I love them enough to try to help them, try to serve. Um, so yeah, I would say love above all. When you lose the love, you lose your empathy, and you lose your ability to understand the bigger picture.
Why don't you like most people?
Well, most people are just highly disappointing. I mean, most people will go along with tyranny. They just are. It's true. So I believe that's why my Bible, Jesus is, forgive them. They know not what they do. Like while they were crucifying him, I mean, Father, please forgive them. The fact that someone was able, whether you believe Jesus was the Son of God or just a man, the fact that that man was able to be crucified and go through all that torture and still ask for forgiveness for the people torturing him, that's the kind of love that I can only strive to have. I don't have that, because if you're doing that to me, I'm, strike them down, Lord, is probably what I would say. But that kind of love says forgive them. I strive for that kind of love.
All right, Harry. Listen, thank you so much. Been lovely chatting to you. You're a good man. Keep up your good work.
Thanks.
All right, where can
Brother.
people find you, and where can they find your book, etc., etc.?
I mean, you can find me basically just on X. Everywhere else has banned me, but Harry Fisher EMTP on X. Harry Fisher EMTP, and then you can find my book at fishersbook.com. Yeah, fishersbook.com. And I appreciate it if you'd read it. It's basically you're going to be reading a paramedic's journal through what I call genocide, what Doc calls democide, but you're going to be reading my journal through some very tough times when you read that book.
Cool. Thank you
Thank you,
so
brother.
much. I, Ahmed Malik, am a private civilian protected by the Geneva Convention. My Substack, social media posts, and podcasts are my personal experiences, observations, and opinions. This information is for educational purposes only. Although I am a doctor, I am not your doctor, and I am not providing medical or legal advice to you or to the wider public. I am not licensed or registered with the GMC or any other licensing board. The responsibility for the interpretation, due diligence, and use of the information from my Substack and my podcast lies with you, the viewer and or listener. Please do your research and use your discernment. It is not my intention to harass, intimidate, offend, defame, conspire, blackmail, coerce, or cause anxiety, alarm, or distress to any man or woman, and the information presented here is done so with peaceful and honourable intentions. Enjoy, folks.